This podcast, we are open. We are here with no other objective than to make football coverage in Singapore right.
Hey guys, what's up? It's episode 7 of the Unofficial S.League podcast. I'm Aaron, your host, and today I'm joined by MatchDay SG's Dill. Welcome to the show, Dill.
Glad to be here, Aaron.
Fantastic. And today we're actually on location at Toa Payoh Stadium. We're here to catch the Prime League match between Balestier Khalsa and Warriors FC. Seems like a great day for football, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, it's nice and humid out here, so everyone's gonna sweat out. But go Warriors!
All right. Okay, so today's episode, we're actually going to be talking about social media and how social media can actually influence people to come down to the stadium and watch more football. Dill, like me, is one of the people who are involved in social media. He has a page called MatchDay SG. If you haven't seen it before, go check it out on Facebook. Just search for MatchDay SG and you'll be able to find it. So Dill, first question I'm going to ask you. Please tell me more about MatchDay SG. When was it started? Why did you start the page? And what you hope to achieve through the page?
So MatchDay SG started maybe early last year. And it started because we really saw a gap in the social media space to try and get people down to stadiums and actually take part in the footballing scene in Singapore. So our main motivation was because we kept seeing the Lions 12 fans come down, they fill up the Jalan Besar Stadium, and then you go to an S.League stadium, and there's like 800 people there. So 8,000 people in Jalan Besar, 800 people in Choa Chu Kang Stadium. There's something wrong there, yeah? So, especially when Lions 12 was disbanded, we really thought fans would start coming down to the stadiums, and they did. We did see a rise in numbers, but it really wasn't big enough. And what I thought was, how can we really grab people and get people down to stadiums? So we wanted to start something that's a little more direct in approach, that's a little more in your face, come down to the stadium and watch football kind of football page. So what we are trying to do with MatchDay SG is we're trying to do two things with it. First is to get people down to the stadium, make sure they have a good matchday experience. So every week they'll be looking forward to coming down with us, coming down to any stadium and watching some football. So maybe having a beer with us before, maybe having dinner with us, supper after the match, whatever it may be. Just a good, nice, happy experience so you can come back to it. The next one we want to do is to try and form an identity around the football club, which is to say, I'm from Bukit Panjang, as right next to Choa Chu Kang, but no one in Bukit Panjang knows what's the closest S.League team is. So we want to try and create a sense of community. It doesn't necessarily have to be geographically located. We're going to try and create some community, and we're going to partner with some smaller businesses if we can to try and create a community so that next time someone says, so what do you support? Who do you support? You will first say, I'm a Man United fan, but then you will also say, I'll also support the Warriors, right?
So I saw one new initiative that was started by your page called Warrior Town. Seems really interesting. Can you tell us more, especially for the listeners who are from Choa Chu Kang or Bukit Panjang?
All right. So people from Choa Chu Kang and Bukit Panjang, listen up, yeah? So Warrior Town is basically our first attempt, mainly because I'm from Bukit Panjang and I live around there. What we're trying to do is to partner with some businesses in that region or who are interested in that region to give a little discount for people who come up to them and say, I am a Warriors fan. So the very first business we have on board is called, they're a MMA boxing training company. They're called Fitness Marshall, and they specialize in outdoor training for people. And right now, if you are a Warriors fan, that's 20% off if you just message us and say, I am a Warrior for life.
So take note, people who are living in Bukit Panjang or they could be from anywhere else, right? As long as you say that you're a Warriors fan. I'm going to take advantage of this, even though I live in Woodlands. Okay, moving on. Next part of our show, let's talk about how much of a role do you think social media platforms like MatchDay SG and this podcast that we're listening to right now play in the generation of interest in local football as compared to traditional forms of media like the newspapers or television?
So the answer to that is very simple. 2 words. A key role. Because we always hear this from the more traditional media. There's no money in distributing the S-League news. There's no fans. There are no. It costs too much to do media for the S-League. You know what? Facebook is free. Twitter is free.
It is.
Why aren't we doing this? So the beauty of this is that we do not have to wait on the FAS. We do not have to wait on the clubs who may have restrictions. They might want to be careful about their image. So the beauty of this is anyone like you, me, we can come up and say, hey, we are going to do something. We are going to take the initiative to get people down. So for me, I do see two different sources of, or rather two different ways in which social media can help. The first one is like the unofficial podcast of the S-League, the media aspect of it, the people who create the content, the people who create the interesting sound bites, the beautiful pictures, the funny memes, those guys. There's a big space for that right now, and I'm glad you're here, right here, filling this. And the other aspect of this is for people like me, the MatchDay SG people who are trying to use that media to generate the interest and get people down to a stadium. There are people interested. There are people who you are going to get interested because of this podcast in the near future. And I want to be there to make sure I bring them down to a stadium and watch a football match.
Great stuff coming from Dill, and really inspirational as well. Okay, still on the aspect of marketing, but in terms of online and offline marketing, which team or teams have impressed you the most with their, first of all, social media presence?
Social media, win official S-League clubs. I think we can both agree there's a lot to improve in that region. So the average S-League page has about 6,000 to 11,000 fans. Home United is one of the Facebook pages I'm really impressed by. They have very high quality posters, beautiful player profiles.
Yes.
I love that. And so this is the quality that we see from certain Premier League clubs, yeah?
Yes.
But what I do like is the Hougang United Facebook page, because they really use it to engage the community. So we see they have their own fan vlogger rather, who they feature in the official page. That's amazing, right?
It is.
They're actually telling their fans, this is your page and this is your space.
Yeah.
Come use it. So I would say, Home United, I love your quality, but how can you guys win this?
I do agree with you. Actually, so far I've been following the league since '96, but I took a break in between, and I came back and started following the league again somewhere in 2011. And back then I was impressed by Albirex. They had really good pictures, they had really good content, but it was in Japanese. That's the problem. And other clubs were not following their lead, you see, and I was really disappointed with the rest of the clubs. But in recent years, yes, I agree. Home United is on the up. Hougang has always been engaging their fans really well. Okay, next, let's. Okay, this question is, well, I think many people would have their own opinion on this. But what do you feel can be further done by the clubs to get more people to come down to the stadium?
This is a very tough question, Khan. I think this is the question which we all are looking the answer for, from everyone, from the president of the FAS right down to the two of us here at Toa Payoh Stadium.
That's right.
But I think what we need is a more direct approach. We need to go to people and say, hey, come down. Because what's happening right now, what we see right now is a lot of good media, a lot of good pictures, podcasts, videos coming up, but there's no follow-up to that. There's no one going and saying, hey, saw that video where everyone was cheering along in the stadium? You could be in that crowd the next time. So, there will be a passive influx of people, but we need to get out there and be active and bring people in. And one of the greatest ways to do this is to have a really good match experience, a match day experience. So, you should have something to do before the match. You should have something to do after the match. You should have something to do during the halftime of the match. So this can be, say, a drink at the coffee shop nearest to the stadium. That's a brilliant match day, a pre-match experience, because hey, you meet friends, you have fun, but we don't really see that happening right now. So no club is saying come down before the match. So what I'm saying is let's do that, and this doesn't cost you anything. And I'm pretty sure you, Aaron, from the Unofficial podcast, and I will help any club who comes to us and say, hey, could you help us do this match thing? Because I will be there at any match if it means helping our local football, right? So I would say the answer to getting more people down, let's do a direct approach where people have fun in a stadium.
That's a really good answer. Okay. Now, do you think a sense of affiliation is important for people to support their neighborhood clubs? Like for me, because I was born and bred in Woodlands, naturally the team that I support is Woodlands Wellington. But, well, people might argue that, Singapore is so small. I may be living in, example, Pasir Ris, but I'm supporting, I don't know, God knows who, Jurong or some team or Albirex. Do you think affiliation is important for people to support the local clubs? Or is it basically what Singapore is best known for? Rojak, you can just support anyone you like.
Well, when we started the Warrior Town program, we had a fan who lives right across the Choa Chu Kang Stadium, but he's a Hougang Hu. I was quite surprised by this, because to answer your question of whether it's important, I'm not sure.
Okay.
Whether it's easy, yes. What's the easiest way to form an alliance or an affiliation with your club? With a club is based on geography, but I believe every club in Singapore has its own unique identity, and people feel at home with certain identities. For example, if you're a good old-fashioned football fan who wants the real experience, Hougang United. If you want a slightly more flashy experience, maybe Tampines Rovers, maybe Albirex, right? So I think it is definitely easy to say, hey, this is your neighborhood club, go support it. But there might be another layer to this which we have to explore. For example, I'll go back to the British leagues for this. I don't live in Manchester, but I have a lot of fans who are Manchester United supporters. Why? It's because they have formed that identity which people can relate to. People who will proudly wear a Man U jersey on the road. And you can't blame people in Singapore for not wearing an S.League jersey, because where's your identity? You do not feel part with that thing. So I think neighborhood, yes, it's the easiest approach to getting people to come down to a club, go to your neighborhood club. But a smarter way to look at it is to look at the identities of different clubs.
Okay, and this was something that Dale actually brought up to me in private, but I think let's talk about this. For people like myself, who's a working parent, sometimes for us to go to the match, to bring our kids, it can be a bit troublesome. So Dale was actually sharing with me, have you heard about this thing, like having a play area for kids in the stadium, which I think is a fantastic idea. Maybe you can tell the listeners what kind of idea you have. Just share with them, and hopefully one of the club or a couple of clubs pick it up and it becomes a reality.
So the children's play area. I personally don't have any kids. I'm a little too young for that. But yeah, I hear this from a lot of people. I heard this from you at the Albirex versus DPMN match, right?
Yep, that's right.
I am in the opposite stand. I can't move because I have the kids with me.
That's right.
And I heard this twice at Hougang United versus Young Lions at Hougang Stadium. People who were very interested in joining us for a after-match drink. Yeah, but I need to be home by 10:30 because I dropped the kid off. So I was thinking, maybe not. Maybe we can't help you with an after-match kid daycare, but at least during the match, if we can have the kids on the side playing by themselves, obviously with adult supervision, a play area dedicated with. Let me tell you this. This is an amazing merchandising opportunity for any club who does this, because, hey, you make a playpen filled with, I'm sorry to keep going back to Warriors, but Warriors, the Warriors Rhino, and a lot of plush toys and toys based on the Warriors. And when you go out, you have this out on the stand to sell. Hey, the kid will make that daddy buy, right?
Yep, that's right.
Right? I think you know this.
That's actually a really good idea. And the thing is, I think one problem with Singaporean clubs or S-League clubs is that I think they're just in it, they are not really in it to create a match day experience. And this is not just coming from me, but a lot of fans would agree that, probably some of them are just in it to run the jackpot. And that is really sad because there are a couple of clubs that have closed down because of all these jackpot issues. But we're not going to talk about that today. I mean, that will take another 2 hours. Okay, next issue that we're going to speak about would be exposure. Do you think sufficient exposure is given to lower leagues like the Prime League that we're watching right now, which is fantastic, by the way, and the NFL? If not, what do you think can be done?
Well, talking about watching the Prime League, Warriors, if you guys are listening, let's play these guys for the first team, man. These guys are good. They're really doing some fast-moving passing football. This is brilliant. I haven't seen a long ball yet. Have you?
Nope.
No, not yet.
Yeah.
But the sad thing is, Prime League and NFL has zero coverage. I would say you guys, the Unofficial podcast, are one of the few people I know who are genuinely pushing the NFL and the Prime League onto the spot. And we keep hearing recently that NFL clubs are getting sponsorship deals. It seems like they're on the up. I'm going to have to wait, and I'll tell you next season if I know. But I know it's going to be tough because I don't know a single NFL team in my area.
Okay.
Right? And when a guy who is so interested in the S-League and Singapore football, who runs a page, doesn't know an NFL club that's close to his house. That's an issue. And I think there's an issue this is the perfect space for the independent social media to come in, because this is not highly regulated. This is an open space. This is for you guys to come in and own. And I think you are going in the right direction on this.
Great, thanks. Okay, next thing is probably gonna be, for me, I think it's controversial, because whenever I tell people, hey, why don't you come and watch the league? They're like, S-League, lame, That's the kind of answer I get, and I'm not sure why is there a stigma with, supporting a club in the league. And since you've been running MatchDay SG for so long, after speaking or meeting with so many people, what do you think is the general feel or impression given to you by Singaporeans towards the S-League?
I share this a lot with a lot of people. I think the S-League and the Singapore football fan are like a jealous ex. The Singapore football fan says, I do not care about the S-League, I do not watch Singapore football. But every time an article about Singapore football appears on the Straits Times or Channel News Asia, 100 comments, and everyone's really passionate about something. And you're like, so you don't care about this? And the next thing is, we have a match between Albirex and Tampines at the National Stadium. 15,000 people turn up. Yeah, but I still don't care. Yeah, right, buddy. So I think it's like the jealous ex who's saying, I do not care about him anymore, but secretly wants to be there with him.
Yeah, I would agree. That's actually a good observation. Okay, enough about social media and Singaporeans' supposed apathy towards the league. Let's move on to the league itself. Okay, so Dil, we've been watching the league for quite a while. Obviously, you support Warriors since you live in Bukit Panjang, but I hope you answer this with your head and not with your heart. Which team do you think would lift the S-League title this season? And why?
Warriors? No. I would love for them to do it. I still hope that they can be tight and do a nice, neat, tight run to the league, but I think it's more, as you said, in my heart than in my head. But I would say Albirex looks really good, and I know they've shuffled their team a lot. I'm very keen to see if they can keep up the tempo, because they started really fast and really hard in this league, and it would be interesting to see if a new group of players can settle into a league that fast. That would be interesting, but from the local clubs, I would say Home United, man. Home United, I would say, show up their defense. And I don't know how long Hari Sarun is going to be down there. 3 months is, if in that 3 months they can perform really well, win all their matches, I would say it's going to be a battle between Home and Albirex this season.
Okay, still on the topic of the league. Which player or players have impressed you the most so far? I know it's still early in the season. Some teams have played 2 games, some teams have played 3 games. But I think there are some players that have really ignited the league with their goals or with their skills. Which ones have impressed you?
I would say, for me, it's a group of players who are gelling together quite well, and I think we all love these guys, the Home United front. So Plazibat, Faris Ramli, Karul Nizam, those guys are gelling together and they're fast. And I'm not sure if you agree with me with this, but I think this is the most exciting defense, exciting attack rather, a local club has seen in a while.
And Home United is, well, they haven't been winning titles for quite a while actually. So this could be, they could be the surprise package or the dark horse this season to pip Albirex and DPMM, who people were saying they might win. Right now they are languishing at the bottom. Well, Home United might be a good choice to select for the champions. Okay, and next would be a player, in your opinion, which player do you feel has failed to live up to the expectations of him in the league?
So, if I'm to dial it a little bit and go beyond the league to the AFC Cup, I would say, again, it's a combination of players who have failed to impress me. It would be Daniel Bennett and Madhu Mohana, because they are experienced defenders. Best Singapore has got, some would say. And when Tampines signed them up, what you would expect is them to be the rock around which the team is built. And then when you go to the AFC Cup and you lose 5-0, 5-0, 4-0, at that point you start wondering, do we need to look beyond these guys for the Singapore national team, right? But so I'm sure this is a temporary phase. I love Madhu Mohana, but I hope they're gonna bounce back and come back.
For me, actually, I've never publicly announced this before, but the player, in my opinion, that has failed to live up to expectations, if you would agree with me, is also from Tampines Rovers, the Croatian striker Ivan Joni, which is like he missed like 2 penalties, right? I mean, for a foreigner, you need to be of a certain standard. I think Tampines has had many good foreigners in the recent years, but I think he will probably be replaced by June if he doesn't buck up. So I hope he does improve on his game. Okay, next, let's talk a bit about teams that have been dissolved or removed from the league over the last 22 years. There are a few. The more notable names are Woodlands Wellington, Tanjong Pagar United, Gombak FC, and then there are some foreign teams as well, like Shinchi, Sporting Afrique, Etoile. Yeah. So which team would you like to see revived into the S-League, considering now there are only 9 teams? If you had the powers to restore one team or 3 teams to make it an even number, who would you like to see revived into the S-League?
Oh, if I had the powers, man, if I had the powers. But, well, speaking in a very hypothetical scenario, obviously, I have to say Woodlands Wellington. I'm sitting next to you, right? I have to say that. But I will tell you why I say that. When Woodlands Wellington was in the league, they had some of the highest attendance numbers, if I'm not mistaken.
They did.
And it would be great for that brand name to be a backup, the Woodlands Wellington brand name. And you guys have had some very colorful characters, people who know how to drum up a crowd and bring people in, like keep people interested. And this is really interesting. And if Woodlands Wellington was to come back, I hope they come back the same Woodlands Wellington that left, and have that little flair about them, the slightly unpredictable club who, you're kind of on the edge of your seat trying to see what's going to happen with this club, right? And that was the exciting part about watching them, right? And again, so the big 3 you mentioned, Tanjong Pagar, Woodlands, and Gombak, I want all these three back if I could, because I will tell you my races in a purely can we get fans to the stadium point of view, because that's why we're here, right? So Woodlands Wellington, as I said, I think they have that little flair, the little brand name to get people down, and it would be quite interesting if they could replicate that again. For Tanjong Pagar, I would say Queenstown Stadium in the middle of the country. You are in the best location ever. People can finish work at the CBD, just cross over on the green line, and you're there.
Yeah, that's right.
And if Tanjong Pagar can then go down to these offices or the big buildings and say, hey, come down and watch a football match. I'm guessing you will have a lot of expatriate crowd coming down. Why not? It's going to be fun, right? And there's going to be a big atmosphere, and they're going to bring their local friends. It's going to be an easy catchment area if they come in and if they do their advertisements right. And the last team I want back, but I don't want it back in its old form, would be Gombak. What I would say is, let's join teams. Let's get Albirex to be a little more local. Let's join with Gombak. Let's join those two together and become a little more localized, so we can still keep the Japanese flair going for everyone who likes it. And clearly people like it. People go down to Jurong East Stadium now. Let's get the local flair of Gombak, mix it with the Japanese flair of Albirex. And if I'm not mistaken, Albirex is looking to be more local in the future. And if they are looking for a partner, hey, go knock on Gombak's door, yeah?
That's actually a good answer, a really good answer. Okay, Dil, let's move on to the next portion of the program, and this is something that we call part-time pundits, where the guests on the show would come on and predict the scoreline and the winner of the matches that are coming up in the following match week. And right now we are still in the middle of the international break. Singapore is playing Afghanistan tonight at 12 a.m. It's live. If you plan to watch it, it's live. So do catch it if you're able to. Okay, the first match that's coming up in match week 4 on 31st of March, we will see Young Lions playing Balestier Khalsa in a bottom of the table clash. Dale, what's your prediction for this match?
I would say this is an interesting one. If I'm not mistaken, they both have no points on the table right now as when we are speaking on this. Balestier 1, Young Lions no. I would say Balestier does not have the firepower yet, or maybe the Myanmar strikers would find their feet in this match. It might be a different story if they do. But as it is, I see them pipping a goal. I do not see Young Lions scoring a goal. So 1-0. 1-0, that's my prediction.
And it's interesting to note that both teams, Young Lions and Balestier, have only scored 1 goal each. So far, it's a pretty terrible record. So hopefully they can improve on that. Now the second match is your team playing. Warriors is playing against Tampines. This will be at Jurong West Stadium in Tampines' home, which is weird. An Eastern team playing in the West. What is your prediction for the scoreline of Tampines against Rovers?
So this was one match we were making fun of. It's East versus West, but always played in the West. But this is a match that I'm going to personally go down to, because this is going to be interesting. I hesitate to say this, but it's going to be a draw. Okay. I'll hope for a 1-1 scoring draw at least. Okay. I think Warriors is a nice and compact team. They do not try for the flair too much. Tampines is struggling a little this season. They do have some issues going on. I hope that doesn't affect their field performance, but I think for this match I have to go for a 1-1 draw.
All right, great. Now this next game, I'll be attending this game, by the way. Home United against Albirex. I think it's going to be a cracker of a game. Haris is going to be playing. Probably he's going to be starting for Home United. What do you think would be the score at the end of 90 minutes in Bishan?
Yeah, of course Haris is going to start, man. They're the best player in the team. Yes. But I'm really torn between going to the Tampines versus Warriors and this match, because this is top of the table clash, right? I mean, I would not want to miss this, but hey, let's see how it goes. I might see you at the stadium, but I would say I still think Home United has the attacking potential to just go and get 3 goals. But Albirex is not going to sit and go quietly. They're going to get 2 goals. So I'm going to go for a 3-2, a cracker of a match, and let's hope it happens that way.
That would be exciting, wouldn't it? Okay, and for the last game of match week 4, we see Hougang flying all the way to Bandar Sri Begawan to take on DPMM. DPMM is in 7th place with no points. They lost 2 games. Hougang has won 2 games and lost 1 game in between. So this is a tricky one, I think, even for seasoned pundits. I think it's going to be a tricky fixture. What do you think is going to be the final score between Brunei DPMM and Hougang United?
Oops, looks like a Warrior just got a yellow card. Sorry about that. But going back to DPMM versus Hougang, I agree with you. This is a tough one to call. Because if this was last season, I would have said DPMM to blow away Hougang and win at home easily. But I think Hougang has been on the rise. They've played some good football. They have an exciting new coach. They have a new attitude to them that's quite nice. They have some really good fans that go around and support them. I'm not sure if they're planning on flying all the way to Brunei, but if they are, well done. That's the kind of fans we need down there. This would be a good measure of seeing if Hougang has made any progress on the field. They have made plenty as a club, as the fans, as the image of the club. Let's see if that can translate to the field. I am going to say the newfound confidence in Hougang to help them get a 1-0 win away.
That's a bold prediction as well. Because last week I had Tanjong Pagar fans coming on and they were predicting 3-0 to Hougang. Let's see how it goes. Okay, I think that's all I have for Dil. Thank you so much for coming on the show. And do follow Dil's page, MatchDay SG, because he actually tries to create MatchDay experience for, I think, most of the match weeks that are happening. So if you want a good matchday experience, maybe a meal before the game or beer after the game, please visit MatchDay SG and give him your support. Like his page, follow his page, and of course, like our page and follow our page for the podcast as well. Dil, thank you so much for coming on the show. We will see you soon again, probably in the middle of the season when there's going to be some transfers going on. Let's talk about transfers then. All right, thank you.
Thank you for having us.